Chicago Bears are a good news, bad news story over the last 2 days. So let's look at the good news. They have really upgraded on the offensive line, guard, center, guard. I love Joe Thuney. I love Drew Dahlman. Drew Dahlman's arguably the best signing potentially over the last 2 days. Grady Jarrett was on the market. Okay, here's the bad news. So the good news is your O-line and your D-line, they're better. Here's the bad news. Yeah, none of those players were your draft picks. You had to overpay for all of them. And I like some of them a lot. But it tells you, yeah, your GM, the young guy, probably not it. We don't know if your quarterback's it yet. I think he is. We don't know if your head coach is it. I think he probably is. We know you have one of the poorest ownership groups. So right now, the Chicago Bears, even though I love the upgrades, it's a lot of finger crossing and hope and optimism. That's all it is. Go look at Philadelphia's stacked roster, especially their O-lines and D-lines. That's homegrown stuff, overwhelmingly. Look at the Lions O-line, great front office, mostly their guys. Look at the Kansas City defense, their guys. Look at the Rams' unbelievable defense, cheap, their draft picks. Green Bay, historically, over the last 20 years. New England during the Belichick era, his O-line, his draft and development guys with Dante Scarnecchia. The Packers overpaid for a guard yesterday, but historically, they draft and develop defensive lines. So when you got to go buy somebody else's good players, yes, you can absolutely upgrade. I am not denying that. But eventually, you'll pay a price for overpaying for O-line and D-line guys. Remember, guys hit the market. I like Grady Jarrett a lot, but Atlanta's like, we probably got the most out of you. Little age here, getting really expensive, so the Bears have to overpay. I mean, Kansas City moved off Joe Thuney. They're telling you something, and they liked him a lot, but they're telling you deep down, we think probably the peak, the erosion starts now. So I can like what the Bears did, but make no mistake, the best two defenses in the NFL at the end of last year, you could have argued, were like Kansas City, the Rams, and Philadelphia. It is a lot of draft and develop guys. It's not buying somebody else's used car. And there are a lot of good used cars on the market, but you don't know the odometer. Did they toy with it? Did they tweak with it? You don't really know when you go to a used car lot.
Okay. Oh boy. We are missing the forest for the trees with this one, guys. Yes. In a perfect world, you actually would never even touch free agency. Your draft would be so fire. You would have just the smartest men in the room, people in the room, and you would just draft. And actually, every time it was time to pay someone, you don't, because you're able to just get rid of them and draft the new guys, right? Perfect world. Yep, let's do it. But I mean, like, this is just kind of absurd. And this is not, crossing your fingers and hoping for the best, like Colin just said, by doing this. It's the opposite. You're going more right now for the guarantees. You know now exactly what you're getting. Nick Wright had a similar take, and I don't understand it. Yeah, like I said, in a perfect world, yes, you would draft. Absolutely. But the Bears are trying to win now. They're trying to right this ship now. They burned up their equity. They don't got time to kind of start draft and develop and this. No. And they do now. They already burned 1 year with Caleb. The clock is already starting. And so they need to protect him. They need to build the offense. They can't mess around with these young guys. And they need to know exactly what they have. Is Caleb Williams it? Yes or no? Like, that's what it gets boiled down to. I'm not going to act like the Bears are like the, in terms of draft and all of that they're this amazing team and again, you want to use other references like the Eagles and the Chiefs and the Rams. You're talking about three of the most successful teams in the NFL over the last decade. The Eagles have been, one of the most successful teams in the last 25 years. Kansas City Chiefs, obviously, we know their reign since 2018. since Mahomes entered the league. And yeah, they've done an amazing job. Absolutely amazing job. You know, not everyone or the Kansas City Chiefs or the Philadelphia Eagles. It just is what it is. So I don't know where we can jump to that, quite frankly. And the Rams, famously, the way how they won their Super Bowl was literally getting rid of all their draft picks and buying players. Okay? So I don't understand. They won a Super Bowl not with the homegrown quarterback, Matthew Stafford. They won a Super Bowl not with the homegrown, Von Miller, not homegrown OBJ, etc., etc. They famously mortgaged their future, got rid of their draft capital. And again, Colin praised it. I remember very vividly. He's like, "Oh, this is the way. Don't do it in the draft. Do it with the players that you know." You're trying to chase players in the draft. The draft has like a 25 to 30% success rate. And it's like now we're saying that, don't use free agency because players get expensive. Yeah, they do. I get it. Like I said, yes, in a perfect world, you wouldn't have to touch free agency. You know who's not touching free agency? The Dallas Cowboys. How's that working out for them? Oh, not good? Okay, got it. Who are the teams that have been very active in free agency? The teams that are, making moves that we think are legitimately getting better? Yes. I think the Bears have had an awesome free agency. Awesome. Arguably the best. So I don't get it. Colin talks about now how well run the Commanders are and how high IQ that team is. They've been very active in free agency. Very active. So I don't understand this. I really don't. And because you're active in free agency, that's the Bears telling you that they don't trust their GM? Huh? I don't understand that. I really don't. And like I said, the Bears ultimately at this point, they have no equity. There's no goodwill built up with this team. There's no goodwill even built up with Caleb. If Caleb does not play well this coming year, people will be so quick to just throw him to the wolves. 100%. So if you have to overpay, which I still think is the wrong wording and the wrong way to look at it, but let's just use that language. If you have to overpay to get some immediate stability right now. I also love how when the player plays with the Chiefs, they're amazing. And when they're no longer with the Chiefs, they're not. Like, I love that. I love how it works like that. But anyway, if they need to do this right now to get some stability, to get Caleb Williams also being developed, he needs to improve and grow and evolve, and he needs to be upright. He needs to have a better O-line. He needs the right coach, Ben Johnson. You need to start that now. So no, you want to surround him by actual veterans and a veteran O-line, and a center who can help with protections and whatnot. You want that collaboration. You need that veteran synergy, and you want to be able to also make things easier for Ben Johnson as well. So yeah, focus on the short term right now. You've lost the ability and lost the right to really think long-term big picture. Because right now the big picture is to fix the small picture, the short term. The long term is to focus on the short term. For the Bears, you fix the short term, and the long term will come out of that. The long-term vision will be clear, and the decisions that you make will be clear. Okay? So I don't get how we went from 1 minute praising the Chicago Bears for making all of these moves, and now today it's just nothing but, well, are the Bears really doing what they need to do? Like, is this really that good of a move? Like Nick Wright saying that this is more of a B move. be off season, for his grading system or whatever. And now Colin's saying there's some good news and bad news. There's no bad news right now. None. Zero. I don't see any bad news. Honestly, I really, really don't. They need stability today. They need continuity, stability, and veterans to support Caleb and, quite frankly, Ben Johnson as a first-year head coach. He needs to be able to tell guys, hey, this is what I need you to do. He doesn't have time to teach guys how to be in the NFL. He doesn't have time to teach guys how to, be in just how to compose themselves in a locker room, in an NFL training camp. He doesn't got time for that. He needs veterans. Veterans are the best luxury to have in the NFL. They just are. Rookies, young players, young draft picks only work when they go to a team that has veteran leaders throughout it. The Eagles were able to draft some of these young guys because then they had Lane Johnson. They had Jason Kelsey. They had, Darius Slay. They had CJ Gardner-Johnson. They had the decades of experience of like a Fangio. Like they have the true leaders that are like, welcome child, welcome young gun, welcome 21-year-old player who's like literally still going through puberty. Like, I got you. Coaches rely on their veterans, on their dudes who they can literally look in the eye and say, we're having a real conversation, right? Because I got news for you. When you're a coach, whether you're a 35-year-old coach, whether you're a 60-year-old coach, when you're talking to a 21-year-old, 20-year-old, 22-year-old, like, I'm talking to them, but I'm not really talking to them. A conversation with like a 31-year-old vet is light years different than talking to a 22-year-old rookie. It's night and day. So bringing that stability in the locker room when you have a young quarterback who had, an inconsistent year, filled with a coaching staff that, quite frankly, had no idea what they were doing. They were not ready, and quite frankly, the veterans that you had on that team were not good enough to overcome the ineptitudes of like an Eberflus, etc., or Shane Waldron. And now you have a Ben Johnson, first-year head coach, who I think will be great, but still a first-year head coach, still has to figure out a lot of stuff, with a second-year quarterback who's also figuring out how to be a quarterback, and you think bringing in legitimate veterans are a bad thing. I don't understand. I really hope you made it to this point of the video, because that's the meat of it right now. That's truly the meat of it. When you have like a Ben Johnson, Caleb, etc., and you think bringing in veterans is not smart, and you don't think it's actually worth the money, like, oh my God. I can't actually wrap my head around that take. I really can't. And it seems like that take is coming from people who have not really had a lot of experience in some of these dynamics. And I'm not going to act like I know exactly what it's like to be in an NFL locker room. But, I've been around long enough to know the importance of that. And I've also had other jobs. I've played sports and been around where I've been the oldest and I've been the youngest. And I've, I know what it's like to also, teach, coach to an extent. As well as work in various jobs where, when the trust that you develop with people in a more professional environment, it's not a 100% given. It's a very fluid, kind of like uneven dynamic. And so a lot of maturity and respect needs to be the foundation. And that is also an ebbing and flowing and a moving target. And again, when you actually have seasoned veterans who come in who you can trust, dude, it's just a collective exhale. And it's just one more massive thing that you don't have to worry about. And if when you do ultimately face adversity, which you will, you can help manage it and deal with it through the actual veterans. When you tell a 31-year-old, hey man, I really need you here. I really need you. On Tuesday when we're gonna have a meeting, I really need you there. I really need you to step up and be this guy. The 32-year-old, 30-year-old's gonna be like, yep, I got you. Yep, I got you. You say that to a 23-year-old, 22-year-old, it's like, hey man, I really need you there. You got that? And he's gonna be like, yeah, definitely. And you're like, are you okay? You sure? And he's like, yeah. And you're like, okay, you sure? Yeah. And it's like, okay. all right, you know, it's just different, man. Oh gosh, we're missing it. We're missing it. We're missing it. Those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the good news and the bad news for the Chicago Bears? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.